Hey, it's Chris Gately, Gately Properties, your friendly real estate business. And so the CFPB just released this brand new report. They call it Housing Insecurity and COVID-19 Pandemic. It just literally came out March 1st, and I wanted to dive into it because it kind of talks about some interesting things going on with the possible foreclosure and eviction wave coming at the end of the pandemic. So let's talk about it right now. So the CFPB just released this report on March 1st, 2021, and it dives into the background of what may be brewing in foreclosures and evictions as we exit out of this pandemic. So in the report, it says that in 2020, those who have fallen behind on their mortgage by at least 3 months, that's 90 days behind on their mortgage, has increased by 250%. Now, that means now over 2 million households, about 2.1 million actually, are behind on the mortgage. Now, that is a large number because it is the greatest number since the height of the Great Recession in 2021. But I'm going to put a little caveat in it so that if there's people out there who are going, the sky is falling, they can read to this. There's 122.8 million households in the United States. According to the census in 2020, homeownership rate is about 67%. So that means roughly 81 million homes either have a mortgage or are owned outright. So that means roughly about 2.4% of those homes, of the 81 million, are behind on their mortgage. Not significant really, but it is a good number. It doesn't try to take away from those 2.1 million that need to talk to a professional to see what their options are. Collectively, these households that are behind on their mortgage make up almost $90 billion in deferred principal, interest, taxes, and insurance payments. Now, there are a significant number of households at risk of losing their housing, just as the U.S. is poised to exit out of this pandemic. But there are significant differences between this and the last housing crisis we had, particularly a much more stable mortgage market. In that last recession, we saw mortgages dry up. You weren't able to get a mortgage. So even though if there was buyer demand, you wouldn't be able to actually get a loan to purchase. Also, this time we are seeing substantial homeowner equity. They were something in the neighborhood of over 20% gain in some homes, in some areas. So yeah, if you bought a home even 3 years ago, you're doing okay. Now, government actions so far have reduced the number of foreclosures because technically they're not allowed to. These measures are set to expire around June, and it's going to be particularly difficult for people who are in this situation to navigate out of it because they're going to have to make some kind of arrangement with their loan servicer, which means it could be a large payment that's required, or it could mean that they have to basically divvy it up amongst monthly payments for X number of years, right? So if they were already having problems making the mortgage to begin with, which is why they went into deferment, you're asking them to pay a little bit more than what they were before to make up for those missed payments. Either of those situations aren't very good for those people. And so if they are maybe thinking about selling the house, there's another issue that they're having. Where do you move to? Right now, we've seen prices go up crazily high, and we've got such a limited supply of homes. Even if you sell to try to downsize, you're still going to be probably in the same boat you were when you owned the house with the same payment, unless you significantly downsize or move to a less attractive area. Now, at the beginning of the pandemic, employment fell swiftly in drastic response to consumer demand falling off in public safety measures. And even 9 months later, we are looking at some sectors such as leisure, hospitality, that are still remaining fairly low on coming back. They're very slow on coming back. They're actually about 23% below where they were in 2019 as far as employment, which kind of goes to what I was talking about much earlier on in the pandemic, that the recovery was more of a K-shaped recovery. And I'm going to put that link down in the video down below. But the K-shaped recovery, for those people who don't want to watch those videos, instead of being a check mark where the market goes down and then comes back up, it's more of a K. So it splits. So some will come up and some will kind of come down, or they won't go up as fast. And that's kind of what we're at. So the leisure and hospitality market, those jobs, some of them may have disappeared permanently. Some of them probably will be coming back in slower recovery. So those ones are going to still have the problems with their mortgages. And so now in the report, it even talks about renters. I'm just addressing homeowners in this case, but renters actually were having even harder time, apparently, according to the CFPB's report as of December 2020, about 8.8 million renters were behind on the rental payments. They said somewhere in the neighborhood about 1 in 4. It's pretty high. Now, the CARES Act, with guidance from government service entities like the FHA, VA, USDA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they prohibited those lenders from starting foreclosure processes until June 2021. Now, we're only a couple months away. When that foreclosure period does end, these key matrices will be able to tell us what is going to happen. We're gonna have to watch those 2.1 million homeowners, borrowers, or if they come back, if they're able to make up those payments, or are we gonna see those homes go to foreclosure? So now, it does say in here that it would be very irresponsible to mention the data on renters and evictions does remain limited because there's actually no national data service to give us those numbers on how many evictions are being performed. But they do point out one highlight, which is the current strength of the housing market. As I've said before, the housing market is very strong right now. If you are a seller, now is a great time to sell. If you're a buyer, work with a very experienced real estate agent who can present your offer in the best possibility. You want somebody who does network with other agents very well. You're going to want somebody who knows the ins and outs of the contract and can explain anything you might be removing or any processes that might occur or problems that might occur if you did remove certain contract provisions. So talk to your professional. I know last couple, I hear about bidding wars all the time, but the last two buyers that I worked with, we did not have any bidding war because we didn't have any competition. And I'm not going to tell you how, but let's put it this way. Work with a professional. So the strength of the market is crazy. And on average, homeowners actually have so much equity right now it's crazy. A lot of people have owned their home more than 10 years, which means they bought in around 2010 at the height of the last, which means that they are now sitting on so much equity, and home prices continue to rise. But long forbearances can erode that equity, and foreclosures don't help the neighborhood value. So this is why we need to work together to try to get these foreclosures off the market so that they don't happen. So if you are in this predicament where you're behind on your mortgage, please, please, please talk to a professional to see what your options are. But this is where I'm going to pass it over to you. What do you think? Will these 2.1 million homes be able to come out? Even if a fraction of them do come on the market, is it enough to satisfy the buyer demand that's out there to maybe bring prices down? Or do you think it won't make a difference and prices will keep climbing due to limited inventory? I'd like to know. And don't forget to like us, subscribe, and put your comments down below. We'd love to hear from you. So with that, have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye-bye.